The Underdark oppresses you. You've been traveling its unlit claustrophobic tunnels for hours, and there is no sign of headway. You come upon a more open cave. Hopefully it might yield an exit to the surface. The slight light of your sunsticks illuminate the cavern, but much of it remains in darkness. Your steady march forward is interrupted as Orgokir, the drow of the group, focuses on a spot in the darkness. "We've stumbled on a nest. Best be ready to defend ourselves," he says as he draws his blade. The alpha of the pack brings its gruesome head into the light, beak gnashing at the air while the 4 tentacles on its face lash out. 3 smaller creatures move their serpentine bodies behind the alpha. Gricks, you think. It had to be Gricks. Hello and welcome back to Monster Manual Mondays, the show where I talk about monsters from Dungeons & Dragons, tell you about their origins as well as their history, and give you some tips on how to use them in your game. Today we're talking about the fearsome hunters of the Underdark, Gricks. From what I can find, Gricks don't have a mythological origin, instead coming from the design team at Wizards of the Coast. That being said, it is fairly evident what unsettling aspects of real animals they drew from to create the Grick. Gricks have a serpent body, which is something people are already afraid of. They also have no eyes, which solidifies them as a hunter in the dark, where they have the advantage on the players, who sometimes can't see in the dark, even if it feels like every race in 5th edition has dark vision. As for the face, it's all squid. The Gricks design puts its beak front and center, as the unnatural nature of seeing a serpent with a beak is a piece of its fear factor. The whole thing combines into a deep-sea terror which somehow ended up living on land. The Gricks' first appearance was in 3rd edition D&D, and most of its key features were there. It could climb up walls, it had dark vision, and it could grab people and attack them. That being said, it only had a paltry 9 HP, and it didn't represent a real fearsome threat. Also, as far as the art goes, there's always been too much light in this particular image of the Grick. I wonder how in the hell it got to an area where it could have golden light streaming in behind it as it gets ready to attack you. These things are supposed to be underground, and even when they come up to the surface, they're just hunting around forests for prey. In 4th edition, several of the Grick's traits were enhanced. It was given significantly more HP, even by 4th edition standards. It had much more threatening basic attacks, and a new type of Grick entered the fray, the Grick Alpha. This edition sees the shift in the Grick's fantasy from a solitary predator that occasionally works together with others to a bona fide pack animal, with packs usually numbering from 3 to 5. I really like this change because it lends a great piece of flavor to the Underdark and to Gricks themselves. It gives their animal lives more structure and makes them a more interesting creature. All of that praise does not excuse the art in this edition. Why does the Grick look so much less long, and why did they decide it was now blue and yellow instead of classic green? I think this art lessens the effect of some of the changes Wizards made in 4th edition, especially since they didn't decide to draw Grick Alpha with a pack of Gricks to really show off the change in the creature's design. 5th edition sees a split in the Gricks challenge, with smaller Gricks being similar in difficulty to 3.5 Gricks, while the Alpha are even more powerful than 4th edition Gricks. This edition also sees the introduction of the Grick's coolest ability, Stone Camouflage. This allows it to blend in with rocky surfaces and hide. This ability enhances the connection between Grick and other tentacled and beaked creatures such as octopi, and I absolutely love it. I think getting to replicate the uncanny feeling of seeing an octopus change its texture as well as its color, and putting that on a monster in Dungeons & Dragons is really fucking cool. The art in the Monster Manual also sees it return to its classic green color while also creating the most intimidating Grick by far. Even with that intimidating countenance, the rounder beak shape still makes me want to just boop it on the head like it's an angry pet bird, but that might just be me. When using Gricks in your game, you should think of them like Underdark wolves. They modify the encounter of running into a pack of dire wolves in the forest into an uncanny and terrifying experience. Gricks also have the flexibility of not always being a mobile hunting pack, as they often lie in wait for prey. This means you can either use Gricks as a sneaky surprise group, attacking the party while it's resting, or as a threat that must either be avoided by the party or unknowingly wandered into by hapless PCs. At lower levels, a single regular Grick can be used as a part of a random encounter if the party finds themselves stuck in the Underdark. But the place where they really shine is when you get to fight a whole pack. Grick packs have a designated leader, the Alpha, who is significantly stronger than other Gricks, and this gives a boss and lackeys aspect to any encounter that uses Gricks with an Alpha. This creates tactical decisions for the PCs to make, because the party can either try to quickly eliminate the weaker Gricks so they can focus on the Alpha, or they can pile on the Alpha, hoping to scare away the smaller members of the pack. Gricks are a favorite of mine as far as animal-like monsters go, and I think they can lend a lot of horror when establishing the status quo of the Underdark in your campaign. Gricks aren't malicious, it's just that your basic predator down in the Underdark is a lot more menacing than what is typically found on the surface in simple areas. I hope you enjoyed this week's Monster Manual Mondays, and I hope you have fun with these serpentine hunters of the Underdark. Show 'em who's slick. Hit 'em with a Grick.